Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, Habibis. Welcome to another episode of Habibi Power Hour Premium. If you want to watch the whole episode, subscribe to us at patreon.com/Habibi Bros.
Our hope and expectation is that won't stay open very long, that we'll be able to provide for every kid who comes across the border.
And this administration is doing it in a humane way.
Governor Cuomo is also the governor of one of the largest states in the country that has been one of the hardest hit, with millions of people still suffering from an ongoing pandemic.
In the immortal words of William Wallace, freedom!
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What's going on, Habibis? I'm Siraj Hashmi.
I'm Mujahed Kobbe.
And we're the Habibi Bros. Welcome to another episode of Habibi Power Hour Premium. Jay, how you doing?
Not too bad. How you been, sir?
I'm good, man. You're looking very dainty in that new kafaya.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir. I'm just trying to, be a little modest now that we're throwing bombs on Syria.
I'll lower my gaze. Yeah, Habibi. You're too...
I have to cover my hair. I have to cover my hair.
Mashallah. Mashallah.
Oh,
man. I really didn't think that this week would end with a literal bang, but yet here we are. It's
we're going back to our American ways.
America is back, baby. Build back better.
Freedom for everyone.
Freedom.
That is what I'm talking. Freedom.
Oh man. Oh, Habibis. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to the news like we have, you'd know probably the very first thing that happened, obviously, is that pretty much, as this week has closed out, on Thursday night, the United States carried out airstrikes in Syria against a structure belonging to what's believed were Iran-backed militia members. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby confirmed the strikes were done with the approval of President Biden, making it one of the first military responses from the Democrats administration, following a series of rocket attacks on U.S. targets in Iraq. And Kirby said, quote, at President Biden's direction, U.S. military forces earlier this evening conducted airstrikes against infrastructure utilized by Iranian-backed militias, militant groups in eastern Syria. These strikes were authorized in response to recent attacks against American and coalition personnel in Iraq and to ongoing threats to those personnel. Jay, it just seems like every single like the beginning of every single year, we're just going to go ahead and attack Iranian-backed militias. Or if you want to look at it another way, we're just basically going to go back to everything that Obama did and just drone strike the shit out of everyone in Syria. Of course, I have no idea if these are actual drone strikes, but maybe that's that we haven't figured that whole thing out yet.
No, we haven't. But you see a lot of people having some voter remorse when it's coming to Biden. And I feel like his first 2 months of being president has just been like the most negative aspects of things to happen in his presidency has happened. A lot of people are not happy with the way he's taking away jobs. They're not happy that they don't have the stimmy checks. And he's bombing Syria again and putting kids in cages. I mean, this is like a whole clusterfuck of stuff. If it was any other presidency, I don't think we would be seeing such a shot. Like, we would be seeing nonstop 24/7 reports going on how this presidency is already going down the toilet.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's if this were like, we don't actually have to go back very far to understand the response of what it was under the Trump presidency, because under President Trump, there were airstrikes in Syria in 2018 in April. And this is what then Senator Kamala Harris tweeted out. She says, I strongly support our men and women in uniform and believe we must hold Assad accountable for his unconscionable use of chemical weapons. But I am deeply concerned about the legal rationale of last night's strikes. And then she goes out, she follows up by saying, the president needs to lay out a comprehensive strategy in Syria in consultation with Congress, and he needs to do it now. So a couple of things that came out of that. Obviously, for one, it's pretty wild to see that when it comes to Syria, it is obviously war is something not to be taken lightly, and neither are airstrikes. But you get the sense that Kamala Harris, she hasn't really responded to obviously the new airstrikes because she's the vice president. When she doesn't have to say fucking anything. But I also point out to now White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who in April 2017, Jen Psaki, she tweeted out after the first airstrike in April 2017, tweeting, also, what is the legal authority for strikes? Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country. Where are you now, Jen? Where are you now?
What is she thinking now?
What is she thinking? The Melania Trump tweet. I wonder what she's thinking. It's just a picture of Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki.
Oh, man.
It's really amazing watching that happen and unfold in real time, because we knew all of these things would flip, but the way that they're flipping and how drastically they're flipping is fascinating to me. Like there should be a huge, it really is. There should be a huge like political science study on how quick and how drastic these people flip on it. And don't get me wrong, when we did the airstrikes before under Trump and doing the airstrikes now, I'm for it if it's in defense and if it's in making sure that we're not having casualties or fighting back against people showing aggression against American soldiers and stuff like that. We shouldn't be there in the beginning, but nonetheless, if somebody's being aggressive against our troops and stuff like that, then I'm all for retaliation. But what's really fascinating to me is the whole flip on it. And one of the best comparisons was David French. He's the Never Trumper, and I think editor. Is he still at the National Review?
No, I think he's at the Dispatch.
Okay, so he's at the Dispatch now, but he's one of these huge, conservative voices and all this kind of stuff. And writers, and don't get me wrong, like a lot of the stuff that he writes and a lot of the things he does is very worth a read and listen to. But seeing the blatant hypocrisy and side by side on when Trump did the airstrike versus when Biden is doing the airstrike is just whiffs of complete griftiness. You know what I mean? It doesn't come out.
So this is what French tweeted in April 2018 in an article from the National Review. He tweets, if Trump strikes Syria without congressional approval, his Syrian policy would both be imprudent and unconstitutional. And the title of the article is Trump is poised to make a series of terrible mistakes in Syria. Goes on to say in another tweet, a follow-up tweet, also in April 2018, says, about to unconstitutionally launch an imprudent strike? Check. Declared his intent to withdraw from Syria and empower Iran, Russia, and Assad? Check. Heck of a policy, POTUS. And then there's another one, also April 2018, saying, quote, unconstitutional and imprudent. Trump's Syria policy is a dangerous mess, end quote. And then for the final chaser, this is tweeted February 25th, 2021, in response to a New York Times article titled, U.S. airstrikes in Syria target Iran-backed militias that rocketed American troops. And his response is, quote, good, targeting our troops should carry a consequence, end quote. So you can just see right there just kind of where David French's head is at. He pushed back on that sort of series of tweets by Caleb, basically writing and I'll read the tweets out to you. He says, interesting, Caleb, because Caleb Paul was the one who posted that. Interesting, Caleb. Did you actually read the piece you screenshot? Do you understand the legal difference between taking action against non-state actors pursuant to valid authorizations supported for Trump and Biden, and state actors without authorizations opposed? And then he goes on to say, I explained this in the context of defending Trump strikes on Soleimani in this Times article, but I'm eager to hear your dissenting views on the laws of war. So, I mean, I guess in defense of French, it looks like he was supportive of the strikes against Qasem Soleimani in early 2020.
Right.
And he actually has this article here that says, President Trump's bold, justified gamble in killing Soleimani may just pay off. And so I guess, and I am actually hesitant to list French on this because I think he, despite whether you love or hate French or, don't even have an opinion on the guy, I think he is a case study. I think he's looked at this stuff on a case-by-case basis. I think he largely is a neocon. I think he is pro-intervention. Obviously, this article sort of proves that he is. But the thing is, with Soleimani, I think that a lot of people looked at it differently because there was when you looked at how the response was, obviously Soleimani was a bad dude. It's not like he was someone anyone considered was a good person unless you're, pro-regime for a pro-Iranian regime.
Right.
But this is what ended up happening because this is just the times of the society that we live in and how everything's so partisan and broken, is that you saw so many people who are very anti-war come out and basically start becoming apologists for the Iranian regime. These are like people who live in the United States or American citizens taking the side of the Iranian regime. You would never have that in like World War II era before. Like you would, or at least you wouldn't see that stuff publicized. Right. Of course, I mean, I know there were like obviously Germans who are like pro-Nazi Germany living here in the United States, and there were like Americans of German descent who are living in the U.S. who are pro-Nazi Germany. You're going to have that, obviously. It's just it seemed like, I guess Twitter. This is what happens when Twitter, kind of explodes on one of these international incidents. Is that it seems like, or at least the voices of those people who are like pro-Iranian regime, almost like were so overwhelming. It seemed like there were more people than there were who were supportive of the Iranian regime. And I remember in particular Rose McGowan, who I actually like and respect. She was apologizing to Ayatollah Khamenei, which was like so bizarre. It was a very, yeah. And she's a big Biden critic. And I think she's been, I think in the last year has had sort of a reawakening in her politics and realized that the Democratic Party basically abandoned her. But that was like one of those weird types of responses that I saw. So
right. And also that fat documentary guy, what's his name? Michael Moore.
Michael Moore, that's right.
Yeah, he's like
documentary guy. that hamburger looking ass.
That hamburger looking at, like, it's a mixture of hamburger and that grimace.
Yeah,
it's a grimace.
Yeah, that grimace looking
ass. Fucking purple. The grimace looking fucking butt plug. And what's really fucking hilarious over it as well is like how badly he was simping for him over on Instagram as well. Yeah. Saying, trying to reach out to him and stuff, and it's like, bro, fuck. I mean, women would block you up to. he's fucking desperate to get
literally stuff. Like if there has ever been a way that like this like falls in the line of like how you say the type of fandom you only see on like Twitch, and I guess very rarely on well, maybe not very rarely, but mostly on Twitch, where people like are just like giving tons of money and stuff like that. If Ayatollah Khamenei had a Twitch channel, like Michael Moore would be watching every single second of that shit. He'd be like the top tier subscriber. He'd be like handing out emotes and, you know, paying for other people's subs. And, you know, it's just like he really wants to be Ayatollah Khamenei's bottom bitch. Really.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He would buy that bathwater in a fucking heartbeat.
That fucking bathwater. I'm just trying to imagine an e-girl, or a fuckboy Ayatollah. You know, basically, you know, he's got like that little, you know, he's got like his headwear, and, you know, wearing basically a Speedo, coming in out of a fucking hot tub, and just like literally, you know, jarring water of his bath water.
You know, that fat ass Michael Moore would drink the shit out.
He would hoard that shit. It would be
but
like,
it also.
I was just gonna say, it was gonna be like one of those sneaker resellers where he like sets up bots to buy every single jar of Khamenei bathwater.
Bathwater. Well, it'd be him and all the tankies on Twitter would buy the bathwater. It's fucking amazing watching how these people would defend the most atrocious fucking leaders that we have in the world just because they wanted to be against Trump, to sound like they were being against Trump. It's the most disgusting thing ever. That whole what's it called? That whole incident, or not incident, that whole event that happened of the killing of Soleimani and stuff, and watching all these people rush up and try to apologize and appease the Iranian mullahs, it's just astounding to me. It was fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I thought I was on crazy pills.
You know, the thing is, it's so funny because I'm being alerted right now. You remember in the midst of the entire, obviously the airstrike that was happening on Thursday night. This is, I bring this to your attention because this is, I thought this was a real image, but it's not, from what I'm told. But it's for those people, it's a Tomahawk missile, and
oh my god,
it's basically the trans flag and Black Lives Matter and Boeing in rainbow fonts put on there.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I thought
that's a good job. That's a good
very
fucking
good
Photoshop
job.
job.
I tweeted it out doing a side by side. I just deleted it because I don't want to spread misinformation. But now I'm gonna have to put out a disclaimer basically saying, yeah, this isn't real. But this is the funny
and then
thing.
you need to put yourself on the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna put myself on the list. But this is what I tweeted out the other night. You know, the Trump airstrike here on the left.
Yes.
This is a Biden airstrike. You got your pronouns, the he, him, hashtag BLM, and Build Back Better. And Jay, you have that shit.
Absolutely fantastic.
This is a Kamala airstrike. She, her, BLM. We did it, Joe. So, but the best one is what your background says. Is this is from
yes,
Cox,
from Cox.
Right. This is what it has. It says Black Lives Matter. Love is love. Science is real. Feminism is for everyone. No human is illegal. Kindness is everything. Love Trump's hate, and diversity is celebrated. Just fucking beautiful.
Absolutely fucking gorgeous. Yeah. It was so good. Habibis, to catch the rest of the episode, please find us over at patreon.com/Habibi Bros and subscribe to become a true Habibi.
Awesome. That's
good.